So would you believe me if I said I went to the movie wearing this?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, thank you. I didn't, but I was just trying to see how easy it is to gaslight you. Apparently, pretty easy. Today, what we're doing, like 2 weeks late, because schedule conflicts, is we are going to be talking about the Mario movie, giving our thoughts and opinions on it. Did the funny Yahoo man say Yahoo? So, what do you want to talk about first? There's a lot we could talk about here.
Let's see. Let's start with like something I noticed right off the bat. The NES references in the movie. That's one thing I want. That's like the key thing.
Kid Icarus? He was playing Kid Icarus in his bedroom, and that's like, that's kind of a deep...
Punch-Out Pizza.
Yeah, there's the Punch-Out Pizzeria. I noticed that too. Charles Martinet was there. I noticed that immediately. I was like, oh, that's him. But yeah, I just, like, the Kid Icarus that he was playing, that was really interesting to see. It gets a little messy when you're thinking about, like, Smash Bros, which I'm not saying they're gonna make a Smash Bros movie, because that would probably be a mess. We don't need to turn this into like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anything, but
that'd be a copyright mess too, because like all those like third-party characters.
All the NES references were very nice, and also the music. Like, there's so many music references in here, like and really, I mean, you can listen to that right now because the entire soundtrack is on Spotify. But,
yeah, it sounds like some of it is like original music that was originally like composed for the movie, and then some of it sounds like it could be straight out of a Mario game. Pretty sure some of it was. And then, okay, Take On Me and what I Need a Hero. I did not expect those two.
It's kind of divisive, you know, what people think about the licensed songs in the movie. I don't feel like it was that big of a deal. I think most of them were fine. Like Thunderstruck, that was kind of unnecessary, but it was fine. It worked. Take On Me, kind of random, but I didn't hate it. Originally, it was gonna be like actual Donkey Kong music, but you know, it's whatever. No, I don't know about Holding Out for a Hero, because that was when he was doing like the training thing, and to me, that's a song that works better when they're actually like doing something heroic, you know.
That is true.
Like you know, in Shrek 2 or Tetris, because that song's in the Tetris movie. There's a Tetris movie.
Yeah, I have to watch that.
I haven't either. I haven't either. It looks pretty interesting though, but we're not here to talk about Tetris, unfortunately.
We don't have Tetris costumes today.
No, I don't have the L block costume. I do have an L, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Bitches, 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 bitches. Jack Black obviously killed it. I don't know, Chris Pratt was a lot better than I expected him to be, honestly. He really embraced the Brooklyn side of it. Brooklyn. And I like that. The issue with Luigi is that he's just not in the movie enough, and you don't get to see enough of like the brotherly love between them, you know? Because that's the whole thing. It's like, oh, we're brothers and we stick together and we can do anything together, and that's good. But there's not really enough of him in the movie to do that. Yeah, any other characters that stick out? Like any voice actors or characters?
The penguins. That was interesting at the beginning. You know, they all looked like Pablo from the backyard.
The animation was really good. Like, this is like some of Illumination's best work.
It didn't. Yeah, I was worried it was gonna look like Despicable Me, and like, but like it was close to like, it was almost close to like kind of like I would say like early 2010s Pixar.
Oh yeah, and that's a compliment. That's a compliment. It's like, because there's not much competition really for like anything in this movie, like the best aspects of it, because like, I mean, you're not gonna tell me that like Hop is better than this. Really, the only thing that even comes close to this is like Despicable Me. Even then, I'm not even like the biggest Despicable Me fan, but some of the characters just look like generic Illumination characters. They're not very Mario. Besides Four-Man Spike, which is an odd inclusion, but you know.
Oh, what about the scene with the dry bones? I'm surprised that made it into the movie, where like the dry bone was like, it was like when Luigi first interacts with it, and like it's dead on it's dead on the ground, right? And then obviously it comes back together. There's like kind of like a jump scare in there. I'm like surprised they put that in, considering like this movie like is targeted to children like in some way, you know.
I actually heard some people who were like, "Oh, my kid who never played a Mario game before watched this movie with me, and then now they want to go play the games." I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool." What do you think about the pacing? Because there are some people that don't like the pacing of the movie. They think it's too fast. You have when Mario first meets Peach, they're just like, they talk for like 10 seconds, and then she's like, "All right, if you can do this thing, you're coming with me." And I'm like, "Well, that was quick." It doesn't really bother me that much because it's a kids movie. Another thing with the music, I remember in the scene where they were building their carts, it was the Mario Kart 8 menu music, and I was like, "Oh, that's like a nice touch. I like that a lot."
Yeah, I like how they
Okay, how much?
I like how they didn't like only stick to like
Go on.
older Mario stuff. Like they put in a couple like newer things too. Like the way, like as you were saying, the cart customization. Like that's something that was introduced, I think, in like what, Mario Kart 7. And then they also like the wheels, obviously, of Mario Kart 8, and then the cap power up and the clear pipes from 3D World. You know.
There's something from like every single game, I'm sure. So you'll see something and be like, "Yeah, I know that."
Can we talk about like how much money this movie is making? My God, it is on the road.
Hasn't it?
1 billion.
Yeah,
My
it's
God.
gonna hit 1 bit.
It might.
I think what I heard was that within like a week from now, it's gonna hit 1 billion. So you think there's possibly gonna be a sequel to this in the future?
Well, I mean, they hinted towards it. Have you noticed that Yoshi was hinted at towards? Yoshi was in the sequel Mario Galaxy.
That was
Yoshi's
kind
in
of
the sequel
a dumb end credit scene because there were Yoshis earlier in the movie.
But I feel like they should have had Yoshi like as his own character. Like I feel like they kind of did him dirty considering how much of a major character he is. You know. Wario and Waluigi as well. They did them dirty.
I'm sure they'll be in the next movie. They have to be, because it's seeming like they wouldn't make Bowser be the villain again. I don't know. So like, or maybe he could be and have like Wario and Waluigi break him out or something. Like I don't know. I do wonder if for the second movie, maybe now that the first one did so well and it was so simple, they'll do something more complicated, like a Mario RPG kind of story. But I don't know.
Yeah. That'd be interesting for sure.
Because I think that there's a lot of interesting stuff in Mario, and I think it can lend itself more to a more fleshed out story. Which I get, like the story in this movie isn't anything that impressive, but I still really loved it just as a Mario fan, you know. And as a regular movie, it's not like perfect, but if you're a Mario fan, then like it's a really good movie.
I also noticed they kind of like with the flashlight with Luigi. I really feel like they were trying to reference Luigi's Mansion a little bit. I feel like I would have definitely liked to see maybe like a Luigi's Mansion part of the movie, if that was like possible at all.
Yeah, I know some people are saying like, "Oh, they should just make an entire Luigi's Mansion movie." Like I think Charlie Day said something about that. Like he wants there to be a Luigi's Mansion movie, which I think would be good. I think that could work well. I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon. I think more realistically, if they were gonna do a spin-off movie, we would get a Donkey Kong movie first. I mean, the Donkey Kong world, I mean, it's almost like its own thing, separate from Mario sometimes, because there's just so much stuff in that series. They could definitely make a whole movie.
It's even like credited as its own like franchise in like Smash Bros. And stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so they could definitely make like a whole movie on Donkey Kong. But I just don't want this to turn into like the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, because I mean, you see how it gets with Marvel, and you get to a point where there's just so much stuff, and it's really bloated, and it just gets to a point where it's too much. And,
like for me, like even like it seems like they're making movies like that aren't connected to each other, that they are. You're just like, because like all those like post-credits things and everything, I'm just like, these movies don't even seem connected to each other. Like the titles and the advertising, they seem like they should be completely separate movies. Like the only time I feel like situations, like if they were to do a Smash Bros movie, like I feel like that's where the MCU kind of did it wrong, is where they should have like only made the Avengers like the time that everybody collabed, or like small cameos like Iron Man and Spider-Man, like that's fine. But like I feel like when you constantly make everything when it's like labeled separately, like when I see like a Spider-Man movie, but it has like Iron Man and Thor and all that, like it just gets confusing because like I don't know I need to watch a Spider-Man movie, or like at least like most people are not gonna know to watch this like a Iron Man or Thor movie to watch Spider-Man. You know?
Like, I'm probably gonna go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in a few weeks, and you know that's really one of the only things left from Marvel that I'm excited for. Because, I mean, sure, the Guardians show up in other Marvel movies, but at least, you know, you could honestly watch those movies pretty much have them be completely unconnected to the other stuff.
They're all chilling in space. They're not bothered.
Yeah, exactly. Like because they didn't know any of the other characters in the universe until Infinity War, when you know they met some of them, and then that was pretty much it. They're largely unconnected to, you know, everyone else. Yeah, I don't really have that much more to say unless you have stuff.
Well, let's take a look at you know, the Mario movie compared to you know, other video game movies.
That is a fair point. The Sonic movie, we can just talk about the first one. Well, the Mario movie, I feel like the Sonic movies do better at having an actual plot. Like, there's more of an actual story going on there, and like more.
Yeah, and I feel like there's more, like it's more enjoyable without the source material, like without knowing what the source material is.
Because, like, I'd say it has a lot less references and it's less rooted in the games. So if you want references and then go watch a Mario movie, if you want like a good story, then you know Sonic is a better story, I guess.
And then there's Detective Pikachu.
I like Detective Pikachu. I haven't watched that in a long time, but I like that.
I actually I got this for my birthday, but on DVD. It's so cool.
I have that. I haven't watched it on DVD though. I just watched it in the theaters and then never again. Yeah, it was. I watched it in theaters and it was pretty good. It was just like, I honestly forgot about that movie until you mentioned it, but it was just they did it right. That was such a good movie, honestly.
Definitely
and it was
heavily underrated. I feel like it's a lot more mature than the source material. That's a big thing about the Detective Pikachu movie.
It's underrated, but the game is probably more underrated because I think there's a lot of people that didn't even know Detective Pikachu was a game. Like, they thought it was just a movie.
I feel like if they released that like in that 2015, 2014 like milestone like time, like that definitely would have done a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. And like they said at some point that they were bringing it to the Switch in some form. I don't know if they meant like the first game being ported or if they meant a sequel, but it still hasn't happened, and I'm not convinced that it even exists anymore.
Yeah.
Was Ratchet and Clank was that a good game? The one based off the movie?
I hear a lot of people say it's pretty good, so I mean I enjoyed
the
Ratchet
and
Clank movie, but I'm like one of few who did.
Because I know Rift Apart kind of just built on the 2016 game, which was based on the movie.
Yep.
So, I figured it was probably good. I don't really have anything else to say. I went through all my notes. Those are all the things I had.
I don't really got anything else either.
Well, I am looking forward to the future of video game movies, I guess. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. So, might as well just wrap it up here. I wish I had wrapping paper, because that would have been a funny joke, but it's not Christmas, so I don't have that. But yeah, thank you for joining me, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
VentusHD.
I am VentusHD.
I just remembered I never said your name. That was my bad. I've done a terrible job.
I feel like a logo right over my face the entire time. That way people know.
I might have to. I have to cover up your face. That makes it sound like you're ugly. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying like, one of us is having connection issues, so you've been a bit jittery. I don't know. Well, we'll make it work. But thank you for joining me. This has been fun.
Thank you for having me. It's been
There's
fun.
a dog barking outside.
Don't worry, my dog was barking. Thank God for Discord noise suppression.
I do have Discord noise suppression, so you probably didn't hear that. My camera probably picked it up though. But anyway, that's all we got. So
that's all we got.
That dog is so loud. God. Anyway, I can finally take this thing off. Thank God.
Mine's hurting.